Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Horse Geeks podcast, where we look at horses and riding from the inside out. I'm Kirsten Nelsen, professional horse trainer, and with me, my co-host, Deb Romero, certified Alexander Technique instructor. Wave to the people.
Hi,
And
everybody.
and so today's topic, a little bit of a gear shift, I guess, from last time, but not really.
We're all
It
over
all
the
it all
place.
ties together. Is how different learning styles are different for every single person and horse.
Hmm.
So people and horses learn in different ways at different rates, no
Oh,
matter
that
what
is
we're
so
learning.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why in the work I do, the one part of the work that's hard for people to understand is what's the time frame. Because we've really linked learning and time frames
No
together.
kidding. Or
But
our time frame with our code of what time is.
right, so like
Yeah.
when we go through grades in school,
Mhm.
there's a time frame for a certain amount of learning. And so learning and time have been really linked together, but they're not necessarily linked together.
It's a huge force in our culture. We're very time driven. Like
How long is this going to take? Right?
if you think,
Yeah.
how long is this going to take? Or how much do you charge by the hour? I once had an Alexander turn from an Alexander teacher, and I guess she was an hour, hour and a half, and I asked her, "How much do you charge?" And she said, "Oh, whatever you think it's worth." Well, that blew
What
my
do you do
mind.
with that?
What do you do with that?
Right.
Who thinks like that?
Right. How do I work with that?
Right.
Yeah. Or I can kind of estimate, but until I get into the day-to-day work with a horse, I mean, that's a question that comes up to me all the time. How long does my
Mhm.
horse need to learn this? And oh my God, the only accurate answer I can ever give in all of horse training, almost no matter the question, is it depends.
That's
Like,
those we've talked
it
before.
depends.
My best mentors, I will give them a scenario. Okay, this person has blah 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 blah. What do I need to do? It depends. Because it has to be individualized.
Yeah.
You have a core concept,
Yeah. But then
but
the
each
devil is in the
individual,
details.
the devil's in the details. Okay.
Yeah. Because you can have a core concept that does apply across the board. All
Mm-hmm.
humans have the same basic anatomy. All
Right.
horses have the same basic anatomy. That's what medicine's based on. That's what a lot of research is based on. That's what balance is based on, are those similarities. But within the similarity, there's a lot of detail that makes an individual horse, or an individual person, an individual person. And I go, what is wildly unpredictable is how any person or any horse is actually going to think, feel,
Mm-hmm.
and move or take action in any given situation. I go, the
You don't know the
factors,
baggage. You
like
don't.
those factors are infinite.
Right. And as we were talking yesterday about I homeschooled my kids, and one of them learning styles was what I call top to bottom, and the other was bottom to top. So some people learn if you give them the big picture first and then break it down into little things. And some people get overwhelmed by that, and they want the little tiny steps and then give them the big picture later.
Those are very different learning
Yeah,
styles.
so trying to figure out horse, human, and how they're both going to learn
Yeah, and
isn't
I
is a
really,
whole educational process for the person working with you.
and I really struggled with that, with laying out and organizing information in the book I'm working on. How do I do this? Like, how does the information need to flow so that it's not overwhelming? And I chose the style of big picture down to detail.
Mhm.
But I go in maybe building an online course. My plan is some big picture, but then apply it, which is detail. So I go that style kind of addresses both ways of learning. If we conceptually understand, or we understand with our mind a little bit, but then we do with our body. I go those two things because I experienced that. Like I was lost even in high school chemistry. Like I was just lost because it was so abstract.
It
And
is. Yeah, that's a good point.
and then we would get into the experiments, it would start to make more sense. But
Right.
even the
So,
experiments were kind of abstract. And so I really
right.
understood chemistry when I got into horticulture and started looking at soils. Now I get it. Now I'm
Now
like,
you get the
oh,
interactions and why they do the things they do. And that's
right.
very interesting as to you never know what the light bulb moment is going to be for the horse or the
Or the
human.
person, yeah, yeah,
You don't know. You just have to keep feeding it
yes,
and hope. I feel as lifelong learners that we are, and you and I are constantly trying to figure out how to help people with language. Like how do we get through to this horse, to this rider in the most direct.
right. So language, whether we're talking human to human, we use
Mhm.
words, and human to horse, we use touch, nonverbal communication,
Right,
right? It's both of them are a language. But what language is doing is conveying an idea. And that
right,
idea is going to be charged. So we can say the idea is the thought, whether it's words or touch, we're trying to convey a thought to another. And it's charged with the emotion. That's what gives it the tone or the
right.
frequency, right? And so that's how we share information back and forth, whether it's horse to horse, human to human. That conveyance of information always has a nonverbal component, right?
That's true.
So, like, depending on somebody's emotion, the nonverbal part could express tension, anger,
Hmm.
anxiety, fear, calm. It can convey all kinds of things. And so,
Right.
as a
And our
teacher,
our past traumas influence
the current
the
situation.
current situation. We don't
Yeah.
realize that, but that what I learned in my conference, the past traumas really have a voice.
Yeah, because instincts are what we're born with. Like horses have
Mhm.
prey animal instincts, humans have predator instincts. Those are just hardwired and they never go away. But working with horses, we have to work on the level of habits. So we can look at habits as patterns or general, most prevalent ways of thinking, right? Or
Mhm.
the most prevalent emotional state becomes becomes a habit. So habits are what we form during life based on experience.
Mhm.
And whether we're talking your method of training, my method of training, any method of training, the only thing we can change are habits,
Exactly.
right? So you're
Welcome to my
working,
world.
I know, right? Because you're working very specifically with unconscious habits of coordination, or it's what we call muscle memory, because it's just habits that formed neural pathways in the somatic nervous system, right? So it's different than instinct. It's a habit is something we can change. An instinct is not,
True.
right?
True.
And so when we look at our most prevalent thoughts, good or bad, our most prevalent way of feeling, good or bad, and the most prevalent use of our body, whether it's creating discomfort and, joint replacements or not, right? Or being an athlete, you
Right?
train to develop habits so that when you're in the actual game, you're not having to think about how you're using yourself because habits, whether we want them or don't want them, become unconscious, become neural pathways. And then what that means is whether the habits are good habits or bad habits, we don't have to be aware of what we're doing all the time.
It's a
We,
great system if you think about it,
it is a great system.
when you're using it properly,
Yeah. But
because
going through the files and
going
picking
through
out
the
and
files,
going through the
do I want?
files,
Let's
that's the
see, when I was
detail.
age 10, I
Yeah.
but I think that was my struggle in school, was because it's perpetuated certain learning styles in the school system.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't,
That's what makes certain people feel stupid.
yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Or
I'm a total kinesthetic learner, and that was not made available to me.
I'm a very kinesthetic learner. So I took to riding horses like a duck to water. But a lot of schoolwork required that I spent more time doing my homework compared to my friends because it took me longer to digest the information. So to keep up
Swear,
my grades, I had to really study. There was no cheating.
that was me too. I didn't realize we both went through that. Yeah, it was.
I think most kinesthetic learners, so kinesthetic
Ah,
learners, people who learn through doing and feeling and touching,
touching. Hmm.
it's the greater percentage of people who work with horses,
What makes sense.
but it's the smallest percentage of people in the general population, which I always found interesting because,
Us on our tiny island.
right? So there's visual learners and there's auditory learners,
Mhm.
right? Where things make sense the most when we see, or things make sense the easiest if we hear.
And
And
I have gotten out of the habit, but I might start again, is actually asking people, what's the best way you learn? And some people don't know the answer to that.
yeah, yeah. And humans tend to be very strong visual learners. That's, I think, across the board, the strongest human way of learning is visual. I think auditory is second. The popularity of podcasts now in our country is like, ooh, there's a lot of auditory learners. Or
Mm,
for me, I love podcasts because I listen to them while I'm doing something, and that movement helps me integrate what I'm hearing.
that's fascinating, because it's my daughter's the same way, and I tried it and I can't do it. It's like I can't be doing something and listen to a podcast and learn anything. I have to be perfectly still.
Really, because
Yeah,
I'm exactly the opposite.
that's hysterical.
Yeah, if I sit and do nothing and listen to a podcast, my mind just wanders.
Amazing.
And if I'm doing something, I absorb every word. Yeah, it's
And
just
it, and
different
I've
for
how many
everybody.
times when I was as a child having instruction and just being yelled at for not understanding
Yeah.
the message,
Yeah,
how it was
because
being conveyed. It wasn't really the information that was the problem, it was the way it was conveyed.
yeah, and so as a teacher, like that's a whole different set of skills is to once you
Mhm.
do know something, conveying that to somebody else is a different set of skills entirely. And I learned as a teacher through the years, I had to keep changing my approach or what I was saying until I saw the light bulb go off,
I
until I
love that.
saw that moment of aha in the student. And some people accused me of not being consistent. And I go, I'm a
Oh,
conceptual
interesting.
thinker. Like I think
Huh.
conceptually, but adapting the concepts to individuals was learning the skill of teaching,
Well, it's
just
kind
like
of
you're
like,
doing.
yeah, it's kind of like we're always taught a core concept of where to start. And Alexander always started with head neck relationship, but there may be a person that doesn't work for them. Yeah.
Yeah. You experienced that with me.
So we have to be, as teachers, I think we have to have that adaptability to really look inward and say, man, I need to find a different way to communicate with this horse rider, whatever,
Right.
because they're not getting the message. Instead of saying, oh, they're dumb, stupid,
Yes.
whatever. I think it's up
Yes.
to us as teachers to go, oh no, it's on me.
Yeah.
I need to find a way to communicate with this horse rider relationship to so they can understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because balance is such a conceptual goal of training,
Hmm.
I realized early on I had to make a conscious decision that I believe every person and every horse is intelligent enough to find balance. So then it automatically put the pressure on me to convey information, not in a way that made sense to me, but convey
Good point.
ideas, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, convey the information or the idea in a way that was received by the other,
Right.
by the horse or the person. So it had to be something learning only happens when it happens inside the student, not the
Right.
teacher,
Not the teacher.
right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
there's a very famous Greek philosophy story. I think it was Socrates who talked about learning, and it's called the Meno, Meno. And I guess a Meno was like a slave boy, young, you know, young peasant or whatever. And he brought this young boy who knew nothing into his, what did they call it? Uh, Library, or I forget what they called the arena of learning, but he was proving a point to one of the other philosophers that through a series of questions, he got this young boy, quote unquote, without knowledge to execute a geometric, well, basically an algebraic equation, right?
Okay.
Through asking questions and having the boy figure things out, right? And his point was knowledge is inside everybody. It's the teacher's job to draw
Mhm.
it out, not put it in.
That
And
is a great way to put it.
yeah, and they call it the Socratic method of learning, where
Interesting.
you guide, you don't put information into the student, you come up with better and better questions to draw out the intelligence.
And
And I,
that's interesting because I really think that's what happens. And we start thinking, oh, we didn't do it right because we are usually fed A plus B equals C, and working with horses and people, that doesn't always add up. It's
it
not,
doesn't
it
because
doesn't add up just because it worked yesterday with the same
right.
horse.
But today it's windy.
Today it's a
Today it's
different
rain.
day.
Yeah.
They didn't get enough sleep. Their
Today the
neighbors were up all
neighbors are
night.
doing something.
We
Yeah.
don't, we have to be very adaptable
Which is
to,
not a strong natural human quality. It's
no,
something we
it's
all
not.
have to kind of develop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adaptability, like as natural predators, we walk straight to the water, right?
And
And we,
as an Alexander teacher, we are trying to help people to stay in the periphery like horses do, to
right, stay more adaptable.
stay more adaptable, be in your periphery, take everything in, even though you have that thought, I've got to get to the water. There's
Yeah,
so
or
much.
like, the whole predator psychology, whether
Mhm.
it's people or tigers or bears, it's like we feel safe until we're confronted with a situation,
That's interesting. Yeah.
right? Prey animals have a completely different psychology. Horses, chickens, and bunnies. right,
Deer,
are
probably.
always wondering if they're safe.
Am I going to be eaten?
Am I going to be eaten? Because they know they
Yeah.
taste good, right? And so, so one of the things that's forefront in their psychology is, am I safe? And for predators, we don't question if we're safe until we're confronted in a situation. And that's why people think horses are so stupid, is because horses are thinking all the time, am I safe, unsafe, moment to moment?
Moment to moment.
And they're super sensitive to changes in the environment, to the situation changing, because that changes, it resurfaces the question, am I safe?
And that I just watched some videos the other day of um, dressage riders entering a competition and the horse blows up.
Around before they enter the ring?
Yeah,
Oh,
right before they enter. And I'm like, that's us. That's not them. They don't feel safe because our energy is not like it is at home when we're practicing.
right.
Yeah, they feel the different vibration sense of I'm not safe because my human isn't present.
It could be that, or it could be, I look at the sense of safety can come from two things. It could be like in your work, if somebody has really poor habits of coordination, poor posture, that's going to create small repetitive strains inside the
Mhm.
body. And you stack those up enough, and it can create discomfort, it can create pain, it can create instability. And those feelings of being uncomfortable or unstable are also going to trigger feelings of being unsafe.
Mhm.
And so we can feel unsafe inside our own skin that colors how we see the whole world. And so can horses. So
Right.
that horse might have just hit a tipping point. Maybe that horse was uncomfortable or unstable, and then you just add the stress of the competition and kabloop, right? Kaboom. It's like that just tipped it. So it
Right.
doesn't mean that horse has entered a competition and entered the ring probably thousands of times.
Exactly.
So why did the horse blow up that time? I find it's more often cumulative than it is context specific.
Mm.
And we tend to think, oh, it was that person over there waved a bag right when I was going to enter the ring and it scared my horse,
Right.
right? But sometimes when horses blow up over what appears to be nothing, I go, maybe it was just the straw, not the whole deal.
The straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe what we saw was the tip of the iceberg, not the whole iceberg.
Right.
Yeah. And so, kind of like as predators, I think we always think safety, comfort, and stability are sort of guaranteed until we age. Then it becomes more important, right? But it's sort of guaranteed. And when we have an external confrontation, that's when we think about our safety. But
Mm.
horses are thinking about their safety every day in their life as a prey animal. And so it's easier to tip that scale into a big reaction, an instinctual reaction, because if they don't feel stable and comfortable and safe most of the time, then they're always on that edge of a
Right.
big reaction. And that working with, you know, horses in rehab, whether it was unsafe behavior or lameness, I go, those are typically happening. They can happen because the situation changed, right? The neighbors did something that scared your horse. Okay, that can happen, right? But a lot of times when horses get labeled as difficult, it's an accumulation of not feeling safe more
Right.
than just that day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much learning styles affects that accumulation because I know it does in people.
Well, and that's like when I worked on this book on training, maybe it's an opposite reaction, maybe it's a counterbalance, I don't know. But I look at the horse training, most traditional horse training methods are starting with details and kind of almost assuming the big picture. Like the word impulsion,
Mm.
I go, impulsion gets thrown around all the time,
Yeah, it does.
right? But nobody takes the time to go, what does that mean? And so how it's used in training looks different in every arena.
True.
And so I go, well, if we're not agreeing on what impulsion means, then it's going to look different because while we're focusing on details, we think impulsion is the result. Inside leg to outside rein. More leg, longer
More
strides,
leg.
tracking up. That's going to
All
give
of
you
that
impulsion,
language.
right? And so we get into the details, like tracking up. We get into the details of faster speeds, longer strides, but I go, impulsion is a little more than that. So in classical horse training, impulsion just meant rhythm, whether it was slow or fast. That was
Hmm.
kind of how it translated, even though nobody really defined it, but it was rhythm. And that actually is more in line with how the body has to balance.
Right. But and then we also have in our habits of learning, we because we like to keep things neat in little cabinets and files, is we structure a meaning to that word that might not be true.
Right.
I just was reading about that this morning about the way we, with our habitual thinking, it kind of leaves us not in, well, not in the present, obviously, because things are updating, meanings are updating and changing.
Right. And I find for humans, because we have hundreds of years of horse training to kind of look back on and
Hmm.
look at the history, right? And Jean-Luc Cornille was great. He brought in a lot of history. One of my mentors, he brought in a lot of history to the training, right? So we could kind of look back over 100 years. And one of the things that really stuck with me is giving people details was going to cause a horse to engage the hindquarters and lift the back. And then 50 years later, we're giving opposite strategy, opposite details. But
Yeah,
why? So that the horse engages the hindquarters and lifts the back. And this is what's so confusing is
interesting.
in the next 50 years, it shifts the
Hmm.
other way. So now we're doing opposite details. Why? To get the horse to engage the hindquarters and lift the back, right? So everybody's saying we want the hindquarters engaged and lift the back. But if you travel area to area, even within the
Yeah,
United States, everybody has different details of how to get that done. If you look at
that's interesting.
history, every 50 to 100 years, we change the details collectively on how to do that.
And do
And
you think
so
that's
that's why I
because we've
went,
got more knowledge?
no, I think details are just a distraction. And I think time frames add unnecessary
Oh,
pressure.
that too. By Tuesday at 2 o'clock
In 30 days, my
and
horse,
30, 60, 90-day rule. Oh boy, oh
yes.
boy, oh boy.
Yeah. And I go, that just adds pressure. So if you're focused on details and tasks and time frames, what's happening is horses and riders are getting through all kinds of training programs, but the end result is not balance or confidence.
I was going to say, oh, that sounds like our public school system.
Some fail. It kind of is because some flunk
Yeah,
out, whether we're talking horses or people, there's an attrition
right.
rate. Yeah. I'm sorry, your horse isn't good enough. You just can't do this
Didn't
program.
do it by Friday, so you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I had an experience with a client who is looking for horses right now and found a fantastic horse, but she had a trauma from years ago of coming off of a horse that was the same height.
And
So
so that she
she
just
could
couldn't go
not,
there.
she couldn't, she called me. She said, I just can't go there. He's a great horse.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things. Like
Yeah.
that's what I mean by habits that form through life. So
Yeah.
especially when we have a traumatic habit, it kind of integrates into the nervous system and
Mhm.
becomes an unconscious director of choice,
It
of the
does.
choices we make. And so I go, the what I'm focused on is that's really limiting. She found the perfect horse, but because of the past experience, because of the habit of thought,
Hmm.
she's losing out on this perfect horse.
Yeah.
So then my question as a trainer becomes, how do I help her change that habit
Hmm.
so that she can enjoy the perfect horse for real, authentically, without
Right.
feeling the fear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting how we think, oh, it has to be. I mean, we see these ads all over the place. 15 to hand, blah, blah. You know, I'm like, what does that have to
No,
do
and
with
one of
it?
my clients pointed out she's been horse shopping, and I hadn't really thought this, but she goes, I'm seeing more and more horses that are doing upper level stuff at younger and younger ages.
Scary.
She goes, how is that possible? And I said,
Mm,
it's not really authentically possible. There's going to be a side
right.
effect that you're
There's a
going to have to
shortcut.
deal with.
Yeah. There's going to be something down the road.
That horse either developed mental emotional habits that are going to get in your way because they were pushed too far too fast,
Right.
or they're going to have lurking physical issues that won't manifest right away, but you're going to pay the price in a couple of years.
Good point.
And so I go, you don't get to cheat Mother Nature. She doesn't like it. It's like there's
That's so
going to
true.
be a consequence of trying to get horses to do mature performance, mature athletic stuff at an age that is immature.
And we see that with our human athletes all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we see it with child movie stars, right? We see it
Oh,
with
yeah.
child athletes. We see it
Yes.
with child, what do they call them? Dance moms. Like there's a
I've never watched that. I just look at it and go,
I look
"Ooh,"
at it and go, okay, I get the picture. No need to watch. Yeah.
or look at football or any intense sport. If you
Anything that
take,
an immature body and
yeah, I
ask
mean,
for mature athletic performance,
mhm,
you're going to have a negative side effect in there somewhere, either mentally, emotionally, or physically.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that we don't ask questions because I do that with all of, could we try this? And it's a yes or a no from the rider or the horse, just with their body language.
Yeah. And one thing
whether
I come
whether that's
across,
working or and it might work a week from now or a month from now.
right. And I find like fear is such an interesting
Mm,
emotional state. And what we're told to do in order to get what we want or to progress is either mentally override the feeling of fear or just use willpower, like get her done, right?
push
And
through.
and when we really look at how nervous, because nervous systems are complicated, like we don't even know everything about nervous systems.
Mhm.
But the one thing we know is that the body does not submit to willpower. Like, because emotions are not just in the nervous system, they affect the body at a cellular level.
Right.
And so it's like you can use mental willpower, even physical willpower, but the side effect of sort of
Of the push
ignoring
through.
of the
Yeah.
push through fear idea
Mhm.
is the body goes on higher and higher alert.
Mhm.
And so there's like an accumulation and a new habit forming that says, don't do that again. That wasn't fun. That didn't feel good. That didn't feel safe. And it's like that's why fear can take over, where we become debilitated
We
because of fears.
it's locking, stifling. Yeah.
Yeah.
The freeze, the fawn and the freeze.
Or the shutdown.
Yeah, and the shutdown.
Yeah. And it's because we think we have the power to override it. But I go, I think our cells have a little something, something to say about it.
Stored information.
Right?
Well, and that's one of the struggles going through any type of program is does it have the flexibility to address those moments?
Yeah. And so, like, the way people tend to think, and this is why I gravitated away from details towards concepts, was for this very reason. A detail about a horse that I would come across all the time is my horse is unsafe on trail rides. I
Right.
go, okay, that's a detail with a lot of variety,
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
variety.
details, right? This is why people do desensitization clinics. If I can get my horse to understand pool noodles and paper bags and big
It'll be
floppy
great with
things,
bears.
it'll be fine with bears, right?
Ari. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
And
right.
I look at it completely the other way around. I would take a
Uh,
horse that has fear and safety issues on trail rides and start with getting that horse to feel safe in the easiest way possible first. And then gradually increase the distance away from the comfort zone. So I go, we're going to keep finding little distance thresholds where the horse can feel safe and then begins to question that safety. That's the threshold. If I push
for
past that,
today, yeah.
because I did that as a horse trainer, I believed like all other
I drank
people,
that Kool-Aid.
right?
Yeah.
If I get that horse on X number of trail rides, that horse will finally relax. And then I met horses where 300 trail rides later, it wasn't getting any better.
Right.
And I go, okay, we're missing something.
Well, and it goes back to learning and knowing your own body. A human that has had as much work as I've had, I have tools to, if that fear comes up, like, okay, let's work with that. But I just don't know if a lot of people are given that opportunity to
Right.
have those tools to say, to be even to speak it, hey, my fear's coming up right now. I really need to address it.
Well, and that's what's so unique
Hmm.
because fear is triggered by very personal perceptions.
Yes.
It's a perception that comes from the inside out. It has nothing to do with what's actually happening.
No, it's a register deep within, I am not safe for some
Right.
reason.
So, like for some people, if their horse bucks them off, they never feel safe again.
Mm,
For other people, they feel safe while the horse is bucking them. They feel safe even if the horse bucked them off.
mhm.
And I go, that's a unique perspective that comes from the inside of everybody.
Yes, it
But
does.
what I focus on is once we feel fear, that internal sensation and what happens chemically through the body, that is the same.
Yeah, for everybody. Yeah,
And every horse.
right.
So when a horse feels fear, it feels the same. It's the same biochemical process. It's the same experience internally as when humans feel fear. It's
Hmm.
no different. So that experience that we call feeling fear is the same with anything that has a nervous system.
Right,
And that was Candace Pert's work really made that clear.
right.
Like she did the Molecules of Emotion book and did a ton of research on
Yes.
receptors and proved that emotionally we can be a little bit anthropomorphic. right? What we can't be anthropomorphic on are what triggers those feelings. I go,
Exactly.
that's different person to person, and it's really different when we look at predatory species versus prey species.
Right.
I go, that those perceptions are really different. But once it happens, that feeling is the same inside.
Right. I
And so
agree.
I go, a horse that's terrified on a trail ride, I go, okay, kids get dragged into terrifying situations all the time, and they're told to deal with it. But the repercussion that has over their mental emotional habits during their life are being
Right.
formed, right? So if you want to turn that around, I guess that's what therapy's for, is you go to a therapist and re-experience, relive it, and try to change it.
Right. Or yeah, something like that. Or have the understanding as teachers to be able to recognize that that horse or person has hit that wall, because
Right.
it's usually, for me, it's written all over their body.
It's all nonverbal. We
Yeah,
recognize it.
I see it immediately and
Like
will,
it's
okay,
pretty
time out.
easy. If someone's under stress, the energy, the nonverbal energy, which is going to be tone of voice, body language,
Mhm.
gestures, I go, it's simple. It's anything but calm. That encompasses everything that is not calm. And so, like, for example, if I was working with a horse that was afraid to go on trail rides or dangerous on trail rides, the first question became, what can this horse do while remaining calm? And
Mhm.
then if we could check off this box, we went and found another box and go, what about this? What about this scenario? And then I would find those thresholds where that calm energy was starting to wane, starting to turn into something else.
And it's very small. I mean, you really got to capture it.
Well, the more awareness you have, the sooner you notice it,
Yeah,
right?
it's not, it always amazes me when I hear these stories. Went on a trail ride and got bucked off, and I don't know why.
All of a sudden,
All of a sudden.
yeah. And horses are quick, guaranteed. It can go, bam, bam, bam. But there's always a moment in there where a horse is questioning, am I safe? And that's
Mhm.
when calmness slips into something else, right? And if we don't sort of address it in that moment, if we miss that moment, then the action behind feeling unsafe can happen pretty quickly and be pretty drastic.
Right. So it's that moment beforehand is the teaching moment, is the real juicy part of teaching to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
And
you
what I
find it.
see a lot in traditional training is we take a scared horse and work them very hard so that they physically spend that energy and then feel calm. And I love,
That never worked for me.
I know lunging horses you just
I've
have to
lunged for
lunge them
three
longer,
hours and still get bucked off.
right? And and it's like busy, busy, busy in the details doesn't
Mm,
necessarily give you the big picture result that you want.
of calmness and connectedness. Yeah.
Right. So I went, if calmness is what I want, then I can adjust the tasks I'm doing to see where is that possible, where is that not possible.
That's the
And
same for people when I work with them too, as I want to maintain that calmness state.
and we could even apply it to coordination, or we could apply it to
True.
thoughts. It's like when we get distracted, how distracted do we get before we have an emotional response or an emotional
Mhm.
change, right? And so distraction can help us calm down, and distraction can also wind us up.
Mhm.
I go, so just knowing, like, that's the thing. There's so much uniqueness to how people
Right.
respond to things, how people perceive
To
things, how they respond to
their
them,
learning styles
and their
are
learning styles.
all over the place.
Yeah. But
And
I think the way I started to unconsciously ascertain learning styles was watching how the person or horse was sort of what are they paying attention to, mental
Mm,
focus, what's the energy behind it, is it calm or not calm? And then where am I seeing struggle and ease, sort of related to physical coordination? And so those underlying currents, right, were
mm,
giving me information about whether what I was even trying to convey was making any sense whatsoever or not.
right, right.
And it had to make sense to that student, whether person or horse, in order to learn. So,
Exactly. And like I said, same thing with, yeah, because it's always good to present it a certain way, and maybe it's just not going to happen today. Maybe today's not the day.
yeah, and so many failures. Like in the with horses, we call it a horse losing their value. They have no monetary
Wow.
value, right?
Mm,
Because they're too unsafe or they're lame or they just won't cooperate. And so now they've lost their value. And I've seen it happen
wow.
to six-figure horses, right? I go, has nothing to do with the money. Any horse can lose their value as soon as they're unsafe to handle, unsafe to ride, or lame,
Right,
right? Or sick. So with people, we just call it failure, right?
right.
You're just not talented enough. You're just not smart enough. You're just not good enough, blah, blah, blah. You failed the system. And I go,
I know.
what if the system actually failed the person?
I agree with you completely.
Right?
It failed me.
Yeah.
I
And
think
in
it does fail most kinesthetic learners.
yeah, and what I see happen all the time is certain trainers go into the detail of I only train for this sport, this discipline.
Right,
I only train these types of horses, this breed, this type, and that's all I do. So in that world, when a horse or person enters that world, it's a pass-fail situation.
you're right. That's sad.
It's a sink or swim, pass-fail situation. But I go, the problem is somebody's trying to enter a world that doesn't meet the world's criteria. And I go, but we're also individual,
Right. We
right?
all we all shine somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go, but what we all have are instincts, shapes, anatomies, forces of motion, which we've talked about. That's how we get around the world and do anything,
Right.
is managing. So I go, we can look inside at instincts, thoughts and emotional states. And like you do, you look at every human shape, every human anatomy is the same, no matter the details.
Right.
So you get into the details and go, how can this person make a little change that will bring ease or feel better, right? And that's what I'm looking at is, okay, the individual supplies the details. I don't have to.
Right. You just work with what you got.
Yeah. And what we've all got is there's a shape to a human body and there's a shape to a horse body. You're never going to change that, right? There's an internal anatomy that even between people and horses is not all that different.
Right.
And then there's thoughts and emotions, which are universal to all horses and all people.
Mhm.
So I go, that's if we work with those things, we can work on things we have in common rather than the frickin' details of what's so different about different people.
Right.
Like we even say that person has a rider's body, as
That's
if,
true.
right? As if
That's true.
another detail in the shape is going to change the
Is
anatomy.
matter. Right.
Yeah. I go, so a tall, slender person with a short torso and long legs is called a rider's body. But I go, or a dancer's body for that matter, right?
Right.
But I go, all kinds of bodies show us every day in every way that that doesn't mean you can't ride beautifully at an
Right.
elite level because you don't have a short torso and long legs. You and I are living examples of that.
Right.
We were the long torso, short leg people.
Or no legs.
No legs.
I got it done.
Yeah, my friend from Australia said I had smarty wombat legs.
Oh, jeez.
And I go, yeah, but I can still ride.
Yeah.
So, but I think that like, and maybe I'm justifying it, I don't know. But when I went to put information into written form and like, because that's when it has to become somewhat linear. There's a, even though the truth is it all happens at the same time in real life, the way we learn
Yeah.
about it kind of
Us
has,
humans have to segment for a while. And, at some point it becomes a uniform
right.
application.
And that was the
Yeah.
big decision I kind of had to really consider. I know half the population and maybe 100% of the horse world is used to details first, then big picture. And I
Hmm.
kind of consciously reversed that because I go, we're talking about concepts that apply to everybody, but the details are supplied by the individual. We don't know until
Right.
we get there.
Right.
And I went,
That's a good way to put it.
that's going to be even just that, that will be a challenge, I think, to some people.
Hmm.
But I go the learning, doing, I go that part I can help with. Learn, do. Because that's what happens in live lessons. I go,
Right.
we take a real situation and look at it with the concepts in mind and how we could apply the concepts in a different way, new way, in order to get
Right.
things working. But yeah, I think it is a big deal because you brought that up yesterday when we
I
were
did bring it up
talking.
yesterday.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, I think if I'm going to be different, I'm going to be different 100%.
Okay. Works for me.
Yeah, because if we don't come, and maybe it'll, the pendulum will swing back the other way at some point, but I go right now, what I see, at least in the horse world, I don't know about your world, but I see so much focus on detail that the result of those details should bring balance and confidence,
Mm,
but that's what's missing.
that's what's missing. Yeah. I,
So
I
I
think it's the
go,
doing of it all, which is a whole nother podcast, but the A plus B equals C thought theory that gets us in trouble.
yeah, and bodies and minds are
They
way too
don't
complex
they don't
for,
work that way.
they just don't work that
They
way.
don't work that way.
Yeah, even laws of motion can kind of give you the appearance, like physics has a mathematical equation that can kind of give you the appearance that it's orderly.
Hmm.
But the equation is actually adapting to a concept that then has a bunch of variety in the
Exactly.
actual, in real life. I go,
Yep.
it's not that simple as one equation.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think with bodies, we forget that physical balance is three-dimensional
Right. It's not a linear equation at all.
at
And we're
all.
trying to apply linear equations to that, and it doesn't
Well,
work.
that's what I see in the details of riding
Yeah.
instruction. Heels down is one dimension, but it's going to
Hmm.
affect the body in three dimensions.
Right.
Inside leg to outside rein is maybe two dimensions at best, but it's
Hmm.
affecting three.
Right.
And then what I hear all the time, more leg, go faster, push them forward. That's one dimension.
It is one dimension.
And I see that detail being executed to the point that the body is losing balance in all three dimensions
Hmm.
because of the focus on one dimension.
Good point.
And I go, that's the problem. If we only think of tracking up and faster speeds and longer strides, we're pushing a lot of horses right out of balance.
I agree. Or maintain gait. That's another one.
Don't you dare break gate. Yeah.
Well, that's another conversation.
Don't you dare change direction until you're told to. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And again, all of that is one-dimensional thinking. And I
Hmm.
go, bodies are more complex than that.
Yep.
Like we've got to think in three dimensions just to wrap our heads around balance.
And it's hard to wrap your head around. Sometimes we have to segment, but then pull it all back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to understand it, we can make it as simple as possible, but it really can't be simpler than it is. And
Right.
I think that's, the 30, 60, 90-day approach. The detail is my horse walking, trotting, cantering without anybody being unsafe,
Right.
right? How you
In
get,
balance with not, yeah.
well, in balance is going to have to stretch that time frame out
No kidding.
because that's more complicated.
Right.
If you just want those tasks done, that's one-dimensional thinking and
It
it's
is.
and it's achievable.
It is.
But what's the side effect, right?
Exactly.
What's the side effect of one-dimensional thinking is chronic stress, PTSD, safety issues, lack of cooperation, pain issues, discomfort, lameness, health issues. I go, those
Yep.
are the side effects.
Yep.
So wow, we really went on a tangent. I guess we better
I
wrap this up.
we're good at that.
Yeah.
It was just a conversation from yesterday. What the heck?
I know. But it's so interesting to talk about it in this way too,
Right.
because I don't think we realize how one-dimensional we are.
We think.
And
Especially when applying things.
right.
Yeah.
And I don't think we realize that doing tasks doesn't guarantee the outcome
Exactly.
of confidence or balance for horses and people.
Exactly.
Like you got to look at that individual. And I go and I look at how can I take any task, change the focus to what's happening on the inside and find balance.
Exactly.
It's kind of backwards. Yeah.
Or not.
Or not. Do what you do. Carry on.
Carry on.
Working for you. Good.
Yep.
So we better wrap it up. Thanks everybody for, especially if you're still here. Thanks for enjoying another Horse Geeks podcast with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. As always, like, share, subscribe, pass the word around. It's always greatly appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.